is a road, no simple highway between the dawn and the dark of night. And if you go, no one may follow. That path is for your steps alone.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. So we got the second episode going, and we actually came up with a name for the podcast. So since we're going to be talking about the aha turn-on moment and what that's meant for you and for your life and for how you live and all that, we decided to take a page from the Grateful Dead songbook and call the podcast No Simple Road. I think it fits. I mean, if you think about it, it really is no simple road that we tread once we turn on. It's twisty and turny and weird, and everything from that aha turned on moment is different than it was before, and you become something else. Boy, are we something else. So yeah, no simple road, and this is the second episode. So just to recap, we're going to be telling stories about how we got turned on to the music that we love, experiences that we've had with psychedelics, listening to music and going to shows. And just so that you guys remember, we're sitting out here on our beautiful porch in Portland, Oregon. The birds are chirping, the construction workers are constructioning.
It's 67 degrees.
That's Apple over there. It's nice and cool in the summertime. We got Darwin, the hound, laying here with us. And so today I have my buddy Apple, who is also my roommate.
Hello.
And he's here with us. And he's going to kind of do what I did on the last episode. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself and kind of introduce himself so that you know who you guys are dealing with and give you a little backstory on who we are. He's been friends with me since I was 12 years old. I'm in my 40s now. So we've been friends over 30 years. This guy and I have done a lot of traveling, and I don't mean just driving. We have been all around this great big world together. We've lived in a VW van together. We've camped for weeks at a time. We've watched a storm roll through a canyon in the Utah mountains as the thunder and lightning rolled through the canyon, playing a nature solo just for us on the side of the road. And you know, as you get a little older, you want your friends around. So when we decided to move up to Portland, my wife, my son, and I talked to my buddy Apple here, and you know, I think it would be a good thing for all of us to live together and see where the road takes us. So here we are. We're sitting on the porch. We're recording. And so, Apple, last night you listened to the first episode, and it made you kind of emotional, man. And I'm just wondering, like, what do you think about that touched you so much? Like, hearing that, what was it in it that made you feel like that?
Well, as you mentioned, it makes you start trying to piece your timeline together. There's so many things we've done and been through. You start to forget those things. Mm-hmm. They're there. They're like in the filing cabinet in the back of your mind. You touch on them once in a while, but now you're like recreating that, and it's helping me pull it back together. I thought about it all last night, slept on it. And this morning, first thing I do is get up, getting ready for this to, you know, kind of be put on the spot to tell a story, which is strange, but it's really cool. And for the first time, and as long as I can remember, I went and looked up the set list for my first Grateful Dead show ever that Aaron turned me on to. And he's told his story of how he got turned on. And it took him several years to get me to realize what was happening.
I just remember after my first show, I wanted everybody to feel what I felt at that show. I wanted everybody to know that thing. And you and I were talking last night, and you said something that I've thought about in the past, but I guess I never really could accept it as like, oh, it's not for everybody. I have a hard time with that even still. I guess that some people just don't like it. I don't want to say don't get it, because I think everybody has the capacity to get it, whatever the it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
And I think everybody can get it. It's just a matter of getting there
and wanting to.
and wanting to.
I guess it just doesn't matter for some people, but for us, it's been different. And so I remember coming back and telling you like what happened, and you didn't seem, I don't know, did you not believe me or?
No, I was in the same spot like you said. I was 20, thought I knew everything at that point, like most of us do when we're younger, and had it figured out, and was angsty and listened to, more heavy metal, and thought the same thing. Like I'd heard them before. It was like, oh, these, country bluegrass, that's not my thing. This is old people's music. It's kind of like what I thought. This is old hippie music, and I like the Doors and Pink Floyd and all that kind of stuff, but that's different. We all know that.
Yeah, it is.
And then when Aaron came off of tour, following them around for 2 years, he made me go to a show.
I did the same thing.
He's like, bro, listen to me, man. Just go. Just go. If you don't like it, you can leave. You don't. I just want you to taste this. Just have a taste of the cake and see if you like it. And he wasn't pushy or preachy. Like you said, it's hard not to be. I understand that now after seeing my first show. You want to go stand at the altar and fucking preach and try to pound it into people. But, it's like one of those, you just offer them the cake and tell them how delicious it is. And once you take a bite, you're hooked. It's the best thing ever.
I remember I had my bus. At the time, I was able to get a bunch of tickets for shows. I had a connect in Vegas that was getting like strips of tickets for the shows. And I was like, fuck, man, it's a free ticket. It's kind of the same thing that my friend in LA did for me. Like, it's a free ticket. Just go. Just come with us. If you hate it, whatever. We ended up in the lot, and I could tell like it was really alien to you the way it was to me, because even though our musical backgrounds are different, it's still shocking. And what did you end up taking that day? I don't even remember.
Oh, like I came with, let's see, I had mushrooms. I had probably close to a quarter of mushroom, quite a bit. And I took about half of those before the show, and was coming on really good in the parking lot and starting to, at first I was looking at everything, all these people, like they were almost phony, like they're putting on an act for me or for other people, like, I don't know, it just seemed kind of phony, and I wasn't believing it at first, and looking around at the people like really, this isn't real. These people are, this is like found out it is like a traveling circus. And I don't know, it just seemed weird. But then I started coming on, and I started looking at all of these people that were really weird to me at one moment started becoming beautiful. And I started seeing, like, the auras of people and feeling them. But still, I didn't want anything to do with it yet. But fuck this. This isn't my thing. I want to go home, listen to Metallica, smoke dope, and hang out with my weird girlfriend at the time. And anyway, I remember going into the show, and somebody gave me a hit of acid. I think it was one of our friends that was like, yeah, take this too. So, young, of course I did. And then went in, and I remember one of the things I really remember too is the smell of a Grateful Dead concert.
There's nothing like that.
You start to, for first thing it hit me, I fell in love with patchouli that day. And
Patchouli and B.O.
Patchouli, B.O. fucking. And then you start getting this medicinal smell, which is like, people smoking so much pot in one place, and then start to come on really hard.
So what were you thinking? Like, because I know for me, it was terrifying at first. It was really scary.
Yeah.
I wanted to fucking leave.
Yeah, I wanted to run. I wanted to run out of the parking lot. I wanted to get spend my last few bucks to take a taxi home so where I could curl up in bed and be safe. Because what I was experiencing was so new and so different. I didn't want to give in. I was fighting it, which is not a good thing.
I wonder what that is in us that does that. Like
fear of change, fear of, I don't know, looking back at it now, fear of discovering yourself and having to give in and admit that you don't know everything. That, fuck, I thought I had it all figured out, man. My life's fucking awesome. And then you realize, oh my God, there's so much more. After, many, many years, without 20 years old, we'd been experimenting with drugs since we were 13. So we had it all figured out. We had 7 years under our belt. We were fucking masters of the universe. Fucking.
I wanted so badly for you to get it. I wanted so badly for you to like it. And I was still really wet behind the ears. I mean, even coming off a tour, I was telling you last night, I had so many misconceptions about the way things work and how it was even then. And I just wanted you to like it the way I liked it. And it was really cool to watch the transformation during that show. It was really a trip, to see you, you were fighting it at first, like you said, and then I don't know, you tell it, man, during drums.
Well, okay, let's start at the beginning on it. Okay, so I'm on the show, I've taken fucking an eighth of mushrooms, and I've taken a hit of acid, and smoked copious amounts of marijuana by this point. The show hasn't even started yet. They come out on stage, and I think everybody knows, the hits, Casey Jones, all, Truckin'. And they start off with the other song that everybody knows, Touch of Grey. And right away I was like, okay, so yeah, this old people's folky music, whatever. And I spin that song into Walking Blues, Friend of the Devil. Friend of the Devil, I think, started to get me. I think that's maybe where I started to unconsciously kind of shake my groove thing a little bit, but still fighting it.
Did it feel weird to you, to see people dancing at a show and while you were tripping?
I was used to going to, Metallica, and grew up on Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. You go and you bang your head. You bang your head and, get in the mosh pit and, just all angsty, fucking, I don't want to say negative, because music has a place in my heart, kind of, but I started to let that kind of started to shed away, and there's, several more songs, fucking Mexicali Blues, Maggie's Farm, and Maggie's Farm, I remember, I think that's when I first discovered, the Spinners, and everybody was just kicking. I couldn't believe how everybody was singing, and just everybody was so into it. And I spent a lot of time turning around, doing 360s, looking all around, what is this? That still, it wasn't real. And of course, being on a lot of hallucinogens, shit was happening. And they did a couple more songs. Cassidy, Might As Well, they ended the first set with. And again, I'm piecing this back together. I'm looking at the set list from the show. And now it came back to me when I looked at it. I got goosebumps because they ended the first set. And I had no idea. Aaron told me stories about how they take a long set break. That made no sense to me. Why would a band go off stage for fucking 45 minutes and leave you hanging? And that is when it really started to hit me. They ended with Might As Well, and I think that's the one that I'm really listening to the lyrics on, and how when you go to a show, it starts to become about you. They're kind of, you feel like they're singing directly to you, and it's very poignant. And so Might As Well was telling me, come on, dude, you're here, you're with your bro who finally got you after 2 years to come to a show. You might as well, man. Join the family, join the fun. So then everything stops, and there's 45, 50 minutes of congregating, talking to everybody around you, and the buzz, as everybody knows, during the set break. everybody's so happy. Everybody's so turned on at that point.
I remember Sam Boyd Stadium in Vegas. So it was like 110 degrees. It was super hot, miserable summer day in Vegas. And it was tolerable there, sitting on the floor there. And I remember during those shows at Sam Boyd, like people would immediately sit down. I remember how weird that was to me. Like you said, like a 45-minute break during a show. What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
What are you just going to stop playing? Like, that's just weird. And everybody would immediately sit down to like claim their space. So you'd have somewhere to sit. And then people were like busting out like fresh oranges and bottles of water and Gatorade and all this.
It's like the biggest picnic ever.
Yeah. Yeah, it was totally cool. And you
everybody's
get to know,
sharing. I wasn't used to that. Everybody was sharing. People are offering you things, and nothing's like on the down low, sneaky. It was so open with joints and drugs and people offering things that I was used to having to look hard and pay for. Oh, we need to get some acid. We got to call Joe to get it from Bob. And this was just a free form, open community.
And I think that time, that the set break time, also it gives you a chance to connect to the people around you when you're in that headspace, when you're out there and you've done that thing for the first set, and then the set break comes around. Like, it gives you a chance to connect to everybody around you that you've been experiencing this thing with that you didn't really know. And then you sit down during the set break, you start talking to the people around you, and you realize, oh shit, we're all family. Like, these are my friends here. Nobody's here to fuck with me or hurt me. Like, this is awesome. Like, I'm here with 20 or 30,000 of my closest friends.
Yeah, and I remember that too. During the set break meeting, I met people there at that show that I'll probably never see again in my life, but it's like branded in my mind. I can remember faces. I met people there that were instantly friends, family, and it was very strange because usually in that time you had to work pretty hard to trust people. If that makes sense.
So what'd they open the second set with?
So in the second set, you get to that point of like, oh my God, what's going on? And I took my other eighth of mushrooms during set break because that just sounded like a good idea. Of course, that was a good idea. I'm really high and confused. I don't know what's going on. So let's take more drugs. So then they come out and they bust into Sugar Magnolia. That got me grooving. I started dancing. I started really smiling and letting the shell crack away. And then went into what has now become my favorite songs. They went into Scarlet Fire. And Scarlet Begonias with the lyrics there, it was describing the girls dancing around me, and it was bringing it together. And then Fire on the Mountain. I'm sitting here right now. I have goosebumps. And my hair's standing up almost, reliving this in my mind and talking about it. Fire on the Mountain just really, really hit me. The music, the lyrics, everything.
I think out of all the Dead songs that I can think of, Fire on the Mountain does the best job of explaining whatever that thing at a Grateful Dead concert is, what it does.
Yeah.
There's a dragon with matches that's loose on the town. Like, that whole thing, to me, like, it was like a roadmap for what was happening at a show.
Yeah. And then, like, it's encouraging, too. Like, the get up.
Yeah. Get out of the door.
Yeah, it made me get up and get out of the door. So then they follow up with the, nice, snazzy Uncle John's Band, which was, okay, by this point now, I have totally embraced and I'm accepting bluegrass old people music. It's no longer that. It is something I've never experienced in my life, and I want to be part of this. So Uncle John's Band goes into... Actually, Uncle John's Band, I was getting overheated.
The first days are the hardest days. Don't you worry anymore.
And I was sitting on the ground and the floor, like he said, 110 degrees. And I had drank my water. And so I'm sitting there like I need a drink. I'm getting really hot. Sitting there with my eyes closed, kind of just Indian style, kind of rocking. Like, oh my God, okay, I did too much, made a little too much too fast. And next thing I know, all of a sudden it felt like somebody flipped a switch. All of a sudden there was air conditioning blowing on me. And
of course
I felt
there was
really
in the
cool.
middle outside.
And somebody bumps me with something bumps me and invades my little territory, and I realize it's a jug of water. Nice, cold, refreshing water. So I start chugging some water, and when I open my eyes and look up, I had spinners around me. Like 4 beautiful hippie girls, which were not beautiful and I didn't accept at the beginning and all this, but now they're the most beautiful things in the world. Their dresses looked like lollipops spinning around, and they knew. They came and helped me. They knew I wasn't doing good. They turned on the air conditioning, they gave me water, and then drums started. And I learned that, that's like kind of like another kind of a set where everybody sits down for drums. A lot of people do, and they start chilling and just, start tripping, getting into it. And that's when you close your eyes and sit down, like I was doing during Uncle John's band. And without even knowing it, until like Aaron pointed out, I sprung up like a spring when everybody sat down, and I danced all the way through drums. Like I had never danced in my life. I didn't know I could dance like that. And I look over, I had my eyes closed, I'm just dancing away, and Aaron like taps me on the coat. He came over and kind of hugged me, and it made me open my eyes and look around. And it was like most shows, like me and like a couple dozen other people out of 50,000 people or whatever it was dancing during drums, and I was one of those, and it blew my fucking socks off. I couldn't believe it, and I was smiling, the biggest smile ever, dancing through drums and space, which space is hard to dance to.
If you're in the right headspace, it's super easy to dance
exactly. But then it was like I'm dancing into bang boom and just space. So then it was I'm not realizing yet, the show's getting towards the end. They do I Need a Miracle, and then into Black Peter. And then one more Saturday night, the place just blew up. Like one more Saturday, that's one of the ones that everybody gets your butt moving and grooving, and everybody's partying.
That's like either end of the show song or just before set break song. Like gets everybody back moving, especially after going through drums in space like that. It brings you out and kind of brings you to coherence somewhat, a little bit.
Yeah, it starts bringing you down to earth. Like, okay, man, we're trying to prepare you for, the show's gonna be over soon. And so then they do an encore of The Wait.
What a great encore, man.
Which I can't really say anymore. The Wait. It was the weight of the world, of everything was upon me, and I had accepted it. And I just remember slowly shuffling out, and I realized that all those people that I thought were phony and didn't get were my best friends in the world at that point. Everybody was smiling, and there's something I can remember now. This just popped in my mind. It's like everybody was experienced, realized I had just seen my first show. They knew. I didn't have to say. People are coming up.
You can tell. You could even today. You could see those people that are walking out, and it's their first go round, and you just have a look.
Yeah, mind blown.
Yeah,
mind blown. And people hugging me, beautiful hippie girls, cool. The stinky dreadlock guys that I was kind of like, ooh, we're coming up and hugging me and smiling, and we're high fiving and. All shuffling out in the parking lot, and then went back to Aaron's bus and hung out. And I had to try some good old hippie crack balloon, and just experience the whole parking lot. And I bought a few things because at the point it's like I need souvenirs.
But you've always been a collector of memorabilia for anything that you're into. You've got dolls and posters and pictures and pins and fucking pens and ashtrays and whatever. I mean, your room has always been like a den. It looked like a record store or something. Like even when we were kids, the room is just plastered with, music stuff. And for me, like growing up with you and knowing you, like I just knew, I knew that this was going to be your bag. I knew it.
Yeah. And now my room is 70% Grateful Dead memorabilia from the years, because all of us know they got some of the coolest shit. Mm-hmm. The artwork, the collectibles, it's never ending. You can never have it all.
Well, like, and it's like I was telling you last night too. So when you're in that place and you're at the show, or you're even at home, with the elevated consciousness, listening to the music, there's something that happens with the artwork, and there's just a thing about it that it carries like a resonance of the experience with it. Like even listening back to shows now from the 70s that we didn't get to experience, like that Cornell 77 that came out recently, and there's a couple of the road trips that we've tripped out and listened to. Those albums and those recordings carry the vibration of what happened that night. There's like a magic that's recorded with that music that still is alive in the recording and comes out when you're in the right headspace to hear it and you listen to it. And for me, I think that's part of the reason that the Dead have been so successful in having such a community of people that trade their music, and how they've been so open with like taping and all that stuff, and allowing us to just trade and have the music be available for everybody. And it's so cool how that thing, whatever it is, I don't even know, there's no name for it, carries over onto a recording from years and years and years ago. But anyway, so how did things change for you after that? Like, so you left that first show, your mind's blown, you go back home, and I was still on tour, so we weren't really hanging out that much. Like, I remember I took off somewhere. I think I went to California to go to shows, and you had to stay in Vegas. So, like, what were things like for you after that?
After that, for a little while, it was really hard to go about life normally. It was such a mind fuck. In a good way. I started reevaluating everything. I got out of the relationship that I was in that I thought was cool and realized wasn't. And then I kind of became the preacher and started collecting music. And Aaron was sending me stuff from the road, letters, which I still have to this day because, like I said, I keep everything. And I went about life totally different from that point on. I started listening to, of course, Grateful Dead all the time, and listening to their solo albums, and realizing how much music they have that I needed to hear, because we all know every show is different. And I'm sitting here, 48 years old now, and I still have not heard you can't hear everyone. There's so many. You'd have to spend so much time sitting trying to listen to every show they did, because they've done so many, and every one of them, like Aaron said, I realized the music is alive, and the trading of the tapes and all this stuff, it keeps that alive, and it keeps you part of that family and community, which is something I'd never experienced with a band.
Well, I know for me, like like an Afterglow was a period happened for a few years where that's all I wanted to do. All I wanted to do was go to shows, and that's why I went on tour. And then when Jerry passed away, it was like, and I hate to say this because it sounds so hokey, but like my life fucking fell apart. And not because Jerry died. It was coincidental that those two things happened at the same time. But at that point in my life, like I had no direction at all. I was this like cosmic cowboy with no like base, nowhere to put my feet, and was just floating through life and felt lost. I don't know. You relate to that?
By that point, because that was 95 and you got me turned on in 91. So I got 4 really awesome years. And I don't like the word regrets, but it's one thing I wish I would at that point just jumped on the road with you and done that.
Hey, we're here now.
But fuck regrets, you know. I got to enjoy. I saw every show in Las Vegas from that point on. We went and saw Jerry Garcia band in Shoreline Amphitheater, which to this day is one of the most mind-blowing things I've ever seen.
That's church.
When he closed that show with
What a Wonderful World.
What a Wonderful World. And I saw entire packed fucking Shoreline Amphitheater of everybody in tears of joy at what was happening. And so, then when all of a sudden, you know, we had a new direction in life, we were, you know, a really good direction, and then it kind of ended in 95. But it didn't. It didn't. Now we're, you know,
no,
now
it's
we know
it's part of who you are, and I don't think I know you can't separate that. You can't separate that from who you are. It doesn't just go away because you're not at a show. It's your mind that's changed. It's yourself that's become different because of this thing and because of the experience that you had. So it doesn't just disappear because you're not at a show. And
oh no, it changed our being to the core, and it's still alive today. Like you're talking about, I mean, who out there that loves the Grateful Dead can't close their eyes and still see Jerry? He's there. We've seen him with our eyes open.
Yeah.
At concerts, and you know, it is still so alive. He is still so alive. It just, you know, it keeps going.
And watching documentaries and stuff and hearing what Bobby said, like Jerry carrying that weight of the fans deifying him, and how, you know, all these people thought that Jerry was a prophet or Jerry was God or all this stuff. And, you know, man, he was just another guy just like us. And he was a dude that loved music and gave everything he had. But there was something special there. I mean, I don't think that he was a deity. I mean, we're all God. So let's just get that out of the way. But there was something special, somebody that can allow themselves to be a conduit for the flow and the vibration that way, in such a special way that was so sweet and at the same time so dark.
Yeah.
It really, like, it was a touch of gray. Like, it really was a beautiful thing to get to experience. And now with Dead and Company, and it's just growing. I hear all these people talking shit about, like, a fucking John Mayer playing guitar for Dead and Company, and no, it's O'Teal. It's not the Dead. No, it's not the Dead. And guess what? When Pigpen died and Donna and Keith came in, people were like, oh, it's not the Grateful Dead. And then when Donna and Keith left and Brent came on, people were like, oh, it's fucking different. It's not the Grateful Dead. Well, no, it's always changing, and it's growing, and it's different. And we're lucky. We're lucky to have any of it, man. What a cool, weird, funky, rad thing to get to experience together. And it's created this lifelong friendship for you and I. I mean, even before that, we were friends, but it made you and I even closer.
Yeah, more solid. And yeah, and here we are today, sharing this.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just amazing what happens with life after you discover what's out there.
Everything changes. Everything is different. Everything's colored different. Everything feels different. And I don't know if you've gone, I think recently you've said some things, like you're kind of going through this, is like the things that you went to before that you liked and that you did that brought you pleasure aren't the same anymore. Like, you just don't get the same fulfillment out of the things you did before that you do now. And so you have to start finding different things to fill up your time, and different things spark your interest and your creativity. A great example is watching TV. You've always loved to watch TV. You've always totally been into TV shows, and even recently you're like, I just can't do it anymore. It's not the same.
Yeah, well, no, and that's something that's always kind of been there. I mean, that has a whole lot to do with moving up here to Portland and moving to the wilderness and enjoying the outdoors and life. Life is all around up here in Portland. It's a huge city in the middle of a forest, and it's just incredible. It's like being on vacation every day.
Yeah, definitely. Things have changed dramatically since coming up here.
And another little tidbit about me, it makes my life so happy now, is I live in Portland, Oregon, and I work in the cannabis industry for a very big player up here, and it's great. I look at that too. It's to me, cannabis has always been medicine, and now I'm promoting that and helping that happen and getting people to use it to get off of pain pills and things like that. And that's a whole nother thing we'll get into on another podcast. But I don't know, back to the Grateful Dead thing, it just, yeah, it's bloomed again up here.
Yeah, it's happening everywhere.
And with Dead and Company, going and seeing the Dead and Company shows, seeing them in Vegas was cool, but then seeing them up here, and then going and seeing them recently in Shoreline and the way they're growing, and I hope some people that are naysayers hear this and give it a chance.
Yeah, it's definitely not the same, but it's the same,
and they're amazing, and it's just going to keep going from here.
I think it's funny. Last night when we were sitting out here, we were talking, and my daughter's ex-boyfriend is here visiting with us, and he was like, wouldn't it be funny if the Grateful Dead never ended? And I was like, it's not going to. Like, this music is part of Americana. It's part of the fabric of America and music, and something that's so magical and weird and different can't ever go away. And something too that changes people the way it does. And I've there's other people in my life that haven't gotten that experience. I've taken them to shows and they're like, yeah, whatever, it's cool, I like it, the music's great, but whatever. And it's like we were saying at the beginning, it's not for everybody. It's like Jerry said, that it's like licorice. People that like licorice really like licorice. People that don't.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we've both seen that. Go to a show and just like any other show, like going to a movie or something. Like, oh, that was fun. I got a buzz. That was cool. I'm going home and I'm the same.
I just wonder it's like I said last night. I wonder what that thing is. What is it that the moment, and that's the whole point of the podcast too, is to like start to put together what the it is. What is that moment, that common thread? What's that thing that happens to us all? That makes it, you can hear it one day and it sounds like shitty banjo country music. Go to a show, open your mind up, and the next day it's the most beautiful thing you ever heard in your life. And it's not, I will say this, it's not just the Dead. There's other bands that's happened to me with, where it's completely different after you experience it in person. It's totally different.
Yeah. Well, okay, like should we should we discuss Phish in this? It hasn't come up yet.
Yeah.
Same with them. Even after being turned on to the Grateful Dead, I didn't like Phish. I didn't like Phish for the longest time, and they've been around a long time. Trey, I liked their music. I was like, oh, that's great music and stuff, but I had a hard time accepting what Trey was throwing down. His vocals, his lyrics, his style. And then we went and saw the Grateful Dead Fare Thee Well tour in Chicago. Another mind blower. Just incredible. And same thing, people kind of knocked those shows. It wasn't the Grateful Dead, of course it wasn't. It was
a celebration of 50 years of awesome music.
Yeah, and who better, now I look at it and who better than Trey to do that with him? And I left that show, and now I'm a huge Phish fan. I am now catching up on 30 years of their music.
When we after we got back from Fare Thee Well, we went to Vegas and Phish was playing in LA at the Forum again. That place is magical for me, but playing at the Forum like a month and a half after we got back from Fairly Well. And dude, that was a fucking expensive journey going out to Chicago and doing all that. It was a lot of money going out there, and we didn't really have much money. And I was like, fuck that. I'm going to see Phish in LA. I don't give a shit. I'm buying tickets and I'm going, and you're coming with me. And I remember after that show, like, oh man, I can't believe I haven't been listening to this for the last 25 years. What a dumbass. This shit's awesome.
Yeah.
So fun and so
the same
energetic.
thing with their music. Me and Aaron were suddenly discovered something that was like oh god, the best thing ever, and we're still sharing that. And everybody around us, that they like it, they listen to it, but they don't have the gusto for it like we do. Of like, oh my god, I gotta hear that show, I gotta hear this show. And then I gotta say, Phish fans are awesome too, because
that's a fun group of people, man.
Yeah, it's one of the few, like the Grateful Dead, where they'll tell you, oh my god, you gotta listen to the show at this college from '93. You gotta listen to the 32-minute Chalk Dust Torture from this. And it's just amazing. And that's
it's the same family, man. We're all the same family.
Yeah, it's the same family. And going to that show at the Forum, it was really cool being older now, because we kind of have we have our seniority card, and there's so many millennials and stuff that same thing at first. The first Phish show, it's really annoying at first that they're talking.
Oh, that's annoying everywhere. Talking during a show, man. Yeah. Stop it. Yeah. This is a public service announcement. Fuck that. You know what? If you're at a concert, put your fucking phone down. Okay, I understand taking a picture or a 25-second video, but put your fucking phone down and shut the fuck up. At the set break, then do your thing, man. I'm old and curmudgeon-y, I get it, and you're all gonna bitch at me and send me comments telling me I'm an idiot. Okay, that's fine, whatever. But I'll tell you what, there's nothing more annoying than when you're grooving at a show and you're jamming and you're in that awesome headspace and the guy behind you's like, so yeah, last week at work, man, I was fucking doing it. Shut the fuck up. Sorry,
that
was my
PSA
rant.
was brought to you by Aaron. So yeah, anyway, but then I started to accept that. What a show those guys put on. They're so fun and funny and just have a great time. And who else does 30-something minute versions of their songs other than like the Grateful Dead and a few other bands out there?
It's been a long, strange trip, and it's still getting stranger, and we get to enjoy this music and share it and talk about it and do this rad podcast and hear from other people. And, maybe 10 or 20 episodes in, after we hear a bunch of different people's experiences, we could start to say, oh, maybe that's a thing. Or you know what? Maybe we don't need to know what the thing is. Maybe it doesn't matter. And we just need to love it.
Yeah. So this Phil, I'm what Aaron is doing is, Aaron got sparked to do this, and I want to give a shout out to new person that's making me appreciate things, Duncan Trussell, who encouraged him to do this. And why not? Why not try it? What the hell? What is there to lose? And what an awesome thing to share experiences. And I'm looking really forward to where this is going now too. Love all you guys. Can't wait to hear from people and hear other people's stories. And I hope this is entertaining and helps you dig into your mind to pull these things up, because I know it is with me. I'm going to be thinking from here on out of putting back together that timeline and remembering experiences that are, not gone, but they're back there in the filing cabinet, and I want to pull them out and share them, and I want all of you to do that.
So if you feel like you got a good story to tell, or if you just want to tell your story, you could send us a note and tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll get in contact with you. Maybe we could have you on the show. So that's it for today, man. Thanks for letting us blabber into your ear holes, and we hope that everybody out there is well, and have a grateful day. Thanks for listening to us today, you guys. We hope you really enjoyed it. If you did, if if you'd do us a solid and head on over to iTunes and leave us a review, that would be really awesome. Reviews are super important to the podcast. They help us get ranked, and they help other people find out about it, and it gets the word out about us. You can check out our website at nosimpleroad.com, and check us out on Facebook and Twitter at nosimpleroad. And if you feel so inclined, we do have a Patreon page. It's patreon.com/nosimpleroad. And on Patreon, you can pledge us $1 all the way up to $1 million. And you can do a one-time deal, or you can give monthly. You know, it takes time and it takes energy and creativity to pull this thing off, and we really do enjoy doing it. Everybody here in the house does work a regular job, and this can sometimes pull us away, but we want to keep doing it. So if you guys could help us out, it's family taking care of family, and we appreciate it. And from the bottom of my heart and everybody here at the Schapladay pad, we love you guys, and we hope you have a grateful day.